I am not sub to Homu Labs because I don't know who Homu Labs is, but so many people swear by this creator, specifically this video, the entire history of the Honkai Universe, which is a 30-minute video, which we're going to watch. But if I do like it, they have way more videos to watch. Heroes of the Past. Who are the new villains in part 2 of Impact Third? Part 2 changes we need. Surprised they haven't done anything. Penacony is weird. No shit. Okay. Well, we are going to watch the timeline.
This video contains spoilers.
Hey, relax. All right. We haven't started yet. So, that is what we are doing today. This is apparently the video we need to watch for, it's a good way to, like, just catch up with what the hell is happening in the Honkai universe. They are known as Homu Labs. If you're watching this on YouTube, we'll make sure to link them in the description below. I was originally going to save this for a Wheel of Decisions, but honestly, the new Acheron stuff just has me really, really interested in this stuff. And I hope that they, have made a, will you be removing it from the wheel? Yeah, I'll be removing it from the wheel. And I hope that they have other Honkai Impact Third videos describing Acheron and all this other stuff. So, here we go.
This video contains spoilers for the entire Honkai series, plus Genshin.
Great. Give me spoilers. I need them. Bro, even with Impact Third, they have ass shots. Oh, yo. Never change. Dear Lord. Or do. My brain immediately went to that Stellar Blade game coming out. What's going on? All right, I'm ready. I will be pausing throughout the video at some point, just getting my thoughts in order and stuff. I feel the lore is getting too complicated. I feel like that the lore of a lot of things can't, just in general, can get too complicated. It's just how much you're willing to retain. At the time we made Genshin, we had a very young team with little experience, full of courage and passion. Even if you grow old. I mean, hey, they look great. The history of the Honkai Universe.
The Honkai Universe is a vast interconnected cosmological structure in which all the Hoyoverse games take place. In today's video, we will focus on its history and evolution with the addition of each new game. And yes, I know Genshin is not technically part of the Honkai series.
It's not? It's not? Oh. Why are we playing Genshin? Anyway.
But it is part of the Honkai Universe. So...
Wait.
Honkai series, but it is part of the Honkai Universe.
Got it.
So yeah, I wanted to address that before the actually guys appear in the comments. This video is part of a series that explores different facets of the Honkai universe. If you want to watch the other videos in the series, like this one where I talk about how the inconsistent use of the terminology makes the cosmology a lot more complicated to understand than necessary, I'll leave a link to a playlist in the description. This video series was made possible with the help of the Hoyo Stans community, so a big shout out to them for all the help.
The early days. Okay.
First, let's take a look at some of the early works that laid down the foundation of the Honkai universe. Kai Aoyu, Liu Wei, and Yu Hao Luo, the three founders of MiHoYo, were working together on games as university students.
Wow. Also, do we think that he pronounced those names right?
Even before creating the company. Back in 2010, they developed an isometric tile-based flash game called The Legend of Saha. This game would go on to be the prototype for many ideas they use in the future games, mainly Genshin Impact. The game's protagonist was called Miseina Natsuki, and she was the prototype for Kiana in March 7.
Oh, cute.
Some of the characters in her name refer to an archaic way to say March, and Tsuki literally means moon. She was supposed to be the protagonist of Fly Me to the Moon.
So you see, that was the first game that I thought Hoyo had made. And I guess technically Fly Me to the Moon is technically their first official game because the other one was a prototype,
The
but whatever.
first game released by MiHoYo, but she was replaced by Kiana later on.
See, there
the
you
action
go.
Of the
I was right.
game
I'm still right.
Takes place in the two nations of Neylan and Sumeru.
Wait, whoa, what?
The action of the game takes place in the two nations of Neylan and Sumeru.
It's Natlan?
The protagonist lost her memories and is journeying to recuperate them and get revenge on the gods of that world.
Oh, wow.
Who are real assholes, by the way. Kaya Ozu,
Wow.
the developer
They've
of the
had that
project
concept
and the
for
producer of
years.
Genshin Impact, took inspiration from his old game when crafting the world of Teyvat.
Wow.
There's even an NPC in Inazuma named after the protagonist of the game called Yayoi Nanatsuki. Later,
That's
in
actually pretty cool.
2011, the three university students founded MiHoYo and released their first game as an
That's
independent
crazy.
developer, Fly Me to the Moon. The game was a puzzle game about Kiana Kaslana, a magical girl that wanted to, well, fly to the moon, which, as the developers admitted, served as a basis for the story of Honkai Impact 3rd Part
What?
1. Kiana would then go on to be the protagonist of 3 out of the 4 existing Honkai games.
Wait, what? What the hell are these?
Next year, in 2012, MiHoYo would release the
Persona.
first game in the Honkai series
sorry.
called Honkai Gakuen,
Wait. Oh, shit.
localized as Zombie Gal Kawaii in the West. Can you tell that they were
How would I have known that?
otaku? The game was a side-scroll shooter based
How
on the
would I
popular
have known
anime
that?
and manga series High School of the Dead. Kiana returns as the protagonist, but this time, instead of flying to the moon, she kills zombies with a gun, which kinda became her main weapon throughout the rest of the series. Unfortunately, due to the download-based charging monetization of the game, it wasn't very successful and almost led the company to bankruptcy.
That's usually right before they come out with their bangers, chat. Square Enix, Hoyo. I'm sure some other game I can't think. I'm sure some other company I can't think of.
A last attempt to save MiHoYo, the developers decided to rework the game and re-release it with the title Honkai Gakuen 2, known as Guns Girls Z in the
Okay, I kind of know a little bit about this one.
West, but this time, instead of charging per download, they released it as a live service gacha game, decision that will change the entire company forever and end up draining our wallets in the future. Due to this decision, they needed to create more characters for the players to pull, so GGZ saw the introduction of many characters that would keep appearing throughout the series, like Raiden Mei, Bronya Zaichik, Murata Himeko, Teresa Apocalypse, and Yae Sakura.
What the fuck?
While the gameplay between the first two Honkai games was pretty much the same, GGZ would become MiHoYo's first ongoing narrative experience that laid the foundation for the Honkai universe. The game would introduce many important concepts for the series, such as the Honkai, Hershers, Stigmata, and many more.
Hershers are what they call like Eons and Archons, or not Archons, but the gods essentially, right? In the Impact universe.
In an interview from 2021 during the CDG lecture, Kai Aoyu admitted that they came up with the idea of building a shared cosmology for their stories back in 2014 while working on GGZ. They called that idea the Honkai Universe, and it would serve as a long-term goal for the company to build an immersive metaverse.
What the hell?
The person tasked to create the foundation for the Honkai universe was GGZ's lead writer at that time, Lingyin Yang.
Okay.
She was responsible for the first event where characters from a parallel world are introduced into the Honkai series.
Oh?
The event was called Otherworld and told the story of Kiana Kaslana meeting a version of herself from a different world called Kevin Kaslana.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
This was Kevin's
You mean Kalis and stuff?
introduction
What?
into the series and served as a leeway for the concept of character variant that we see throughout the games today.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold the fuck up.
There's a leeway for the concept of character
Okay, I know about this one, right?
variant that we see
This shit, I did not know.
throughout
Also,
the games today.
Himiko on the right? God damn. Go pop
While
off.
the event presented the whole encounter as a dream, it was later rewritten as a light novel, solidifying that it was real and Kevin was indeed another Kiana from a different world. Here's a fun fact.
My God.
The event also introduced the first ever death of a playable character by having Kevin kill Bronya. During the event, Kevin offered the first explanation of how the Honkai Universe works at a cosmological
They killed
level.
Bronya?
Kevin confirmed that MiHoYo was using the original interpretation of the many worlds theory and offered the earliest explanation of what would later be called the Imaginary Tree. Later in the year, MiHoYo released a
What
new
the
manga
hell?
series called Benkwai Tree, also known as Honkai Third.
Not Honkai third, Hokai third.
The manga series used some of the GGZ manga as part of its story, but deviated from the
Irminsul?
stories told in
Irminsul.
GGZ. Honkai Third was the foundation of what would later become Honkai Impact Third and includes manga such as Escape from Nagazora, Sakura Remembrance, and The Mystery of Stigmata. In one of the author notes from the
What?
Sakura Remembrance arc, Mihoyo uses the word "world line," which is also used by Kevin in the Other World event, to refer to the world of GGZ, implying that GGZ and Honkai Third are parallel world lines to each other. Later, in the second eruption author notes, they use the same word to refer to the world of Honkai Impact Third.
Interesting.
2016 would mark the release of the third game in the Honkai series, Honkai Impact Third. The game would
Interesting.
continue the story of Kiana, Mei, and Bronya from the Honkai Third manga series and present a diverging path from GGZ by taking place in a
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That bitch is a heavenly principal. She looks just like a heavenly principal. Wait a minute.
taking place in a parallel world. Not only that, but the gameplay was vastly different from the previous Honkai games, being a combat-oriented action RPG. Honkai Impact Third was also the first fully 3D game made by MiHoYo. Not long after that, the Azure Waters manga presented us with the backstories of Bronya Zaichik and Cele Volerei. While the manga
Damn.
was created for Honkai Impact Third, Ling Yi would later make a post in which she recontextualized the manga for GGZ, making it canon for both games. It's important to note that at this point, Ling Yi was still involved in the Honkai Impact Third story. She was responsible for the first series of colored
She was a VTuber?
manga such as Azure Waters, AE Invasion, Gratitude Arc, and Moon Shadow.
Wait a minute.
Basically, she was behind most of the horny stuff that we see in the early story, and she also pioneered popular ships like Kiame and Bronzele.
Damn. She's doing the Lord's work.
After that, a new team was formed to
That's Himiko? What a woman.
continue the story of Honkai Impact Third, and Ling Yi would remain as the head writer for GGZ until this year. She recently announced that she won't be involved with the story of GGZ after the ending of the Reborn storyline.
Wait, GGZ is still going?
And as far as we know, she has no part in the new story arc of GGZ.
Bro, what? GGZ is still going? What do you mean? Damn, Hoyo really got it everywhere, huh?
2017 brought the ending of GGZ's first major storyline, Retrospective, or Retro for short,
That's such a good art piece.
commemorated with an animated short featuring Kiana destroying the Earth. The animation became a cult classic in the global Honkai audience, with many people falsely believing that that was the ending of GGZ, when it was just the end of the first part of the story. Soon after, GGZ started a new storyline called Reborn. The ending of Retro revealed that the world of GGZ was locked in a samsara that kept resetting.
Samsara? Locked in a samsara?
The world if humanity lost to Honkai. This concept would later return during the Moon arc in Honkai Impact 3rd, when we found out that the world of Honkai Impact 3rd is stuck in a 50,000 years repeating cycle, and it would also appear in Genshin Impact.
I can't believe this, bro. What the fuck?
During the Sumeru Archon quest, but on a much smaller scale. And just like the Hoyoverse games, you are also stuck in a samsara of me telling you to subscribe every
Clever.
video. Seriously though, this video series took me literal months to produce, so if you like to support the channel by subscribing and giving this video a thumbs
Hey, welcome, Gardevoir. You voiced Sino and decided to watch when I found out. Yeah, well, welcome.
up, I would really appreciate it. Thanks. During the same year, the Honkai Impact 3rd team released the Anti-Entropy visual novel. This novel introduced the alternate version of real-life scientists, and by alternate I mean that they took a page out of Fate's book and turned them into anime girls.
Smart.
Know, one way to make science interesting, I guess. The visual novel gave us the confirmation that the Honkai universe adheres to the classic string theory from physics, more exactly the M theory introduced by Edward Witten. The universe is revealed to be an 11-dimensional structure composed of multiple brains, which in simple terms are string-like structures that exist in higher dimensions. The visual novel also confirmed the existence of higher dimensional observers that
Bro, I gotta play the visual novel for the assignment? What do you mean?
are able to grant power to the people. In this case, with the help of such a being, Thomas Nancy Edison sacrificed all her possible futures and collapsed them into herself to
Nancy Thomas Edison. Nancy Thomas Edison.
obtain great power. Lastly, 2017 marked the beginning of the development of a new title called Honkai 4.
It's Genshin. It's Genshin. I was like, what? You can't give me a fourth one. What?
The game would later be known as Genshin Impact, and yes, Genshin was initially supposed to be a sequel to Honkai Impact 3rd, a fact that is pretty obvious if you take a look at the alpha version of the game and some—
Really? Holy shit. That's the protagonist? I actually really fuck with that armor.
of the very early beta versions. When MiHoYo applied for the stock market, they were rejected because they only had Honkai as their only major IP at that time. So, to attract new investors, they removed the word Honkai from the title of the game. This would later prove meaningless since they ended up with
Man, Dawei looks so young.
the stock market anyway. Since the Honkai Impact 3rd writing team didn't want to make limited—
Dawei looked stress-free, by the way, back then. Here we go. The fucking Mad Hatter over here.
the time content that would affect the main story, they introduced a new storyline that used the pre-established cosmology to tell a separate story through events and would not interfere with the main plot. The first event in this new storyline was called Sanguine Nights, and it followed the adventures of the Faceless Captain, a mysterious character based on the Captain persona, which is the player's avatar in the game. The storyline was dubbed as Captain's Bizarre Adventure, and similar to the Otherworld event in GGZ, introduced the concept of similar-looking characters from parallel worlds.
Oh, like Paul and Locha.
The characters would look and sometimes—
Okay. So we have Teresa Apocalypse, the main one, Kongming, the Captain Universe, and Luna also from the Captain Universe. From the Captain verse. Interesting.
sometimes even have the same names as the characters.
Bronya. I know that a lot of people thought that was Silverwolf. which honestly, fair. That looks more like Bronya. That looks like Silverwolf. Totally get it though.
From the main story, but they were completely different people.
Siren. She looks cool.
The Captain verse would continue to tell its story through events for many years along with the main story of the game. Another important event in 2018 was the release of the second Eruption manga. This manga would become
Silverwolf is another Bronya? Now, are you just making that up? Are you just saying that based off designs, or is there actual evidence? Royo, thank you for the sub.
Hi. Hope you're having an amazing day.
They are not the same person, right? Wait, she's another Bronya. She is indeed apparently give me Carfax. You can't just say that. Give me Carfax. She plays as Bronya in her trailer? What? Voiced by the same voice actor. Incorrect. At least in the English dub, which is incorrect. Because by your logic, the voice actors in the JP that's not proof, chat. That is not evidence. That doesn't work, chat. No, Simba. I have to use actual evidence. Hold on. Japanese cast. Hold on. Da-da-da-da. Ah, shit, I closed the wrong thing. Hold on. There is no English dub for Impact Third, correct. But Hoyo has to approve every single actor. Hold on. Genshin Impact. I'm trying to see if there are any actors in Genshin in the Chinese cast or the Japanese cast that play other characters in that cast. Because I'm sure there has been. And if by that logic, Raiden Shogun JP. With who? Not the same in Honkai Star Rail, but the same in Impact Third. Raiden A. Raiden May and Acheron. Yeah, but that's Honkai Star Rail. I don't know. That doesn't make...
Bronya was known as Silverwolf when she was an assassin.
Bronya was known as Silverwolf when she was an assassin.
That is actual evidence. Thank you. Are Bronya and Silverwolf the same? are based on two different Honkai Impact Third characters. They aren't both based on Honkai Impact Third's Bronya's Zaishik. But they are not the same. If by... I could understand them in the sense of it being like...
She has her assassin alias called Silver Wolf of Urals.
They are variants? Sure. Chat, that is fine. I am not going to take that the voice actor voices the same character as proof. You trust those letters over chat? They are variants. Yeah. That's what we're saying. That's not what some of chat was saying. Chat was, when we first started, chat was saying they are the same. And I'm like, I'm getting upset. I'm getting upset. Because I know what you guys mean, and it's not the same. If they are variants, that I can understand, because fucking Locha and Paul are different. They're similar, but variants.
The only one that is the same is Welt.
Yes, correct. That is the only one I know that is the same. Anyway, who is Paul? Don't fucking worry about it. We're moving on. You mean Otto? That's what I meant. Who fucking cares?
Event in 2018 was the release of the second
Sorry, the
Eruption
wiki lied.
manga. This
Sorry, the wiki lied.
Yeah, no shit. Anyway, think about 1,000 biddies.
manga would become the most important external materials of the second Eruption.
Run it back. I don't even know what the fuck we're at.
Another important event in 2018 was the release of the second Eruption manga. This manga would become the most important external material for Honkai Impact 3rd, fleshing out
Why?
the world building and the cosmology of the game.
Thank
It
you.
told the story of a Honkai disaster caused by the Hersher of the Void in the year 2000 and focused on characters like Siegfried Kaslana, Cecilia Shariak, Welt Yang, Syrian,
Hey,
and
Welt!
Ado Apocalypse. This manga
Speak of the fucking devil.
Welt
Wait. Cecilia.
Hersher of the Void in the year 2000 and focused on characters like Siegfried Kaslana,
Why does Siegfried sound familiar?
Cecilia Shariak,
Is that not one of the swords? I guess not, huh? Okay.
Welt Yang, Syrian, and Ado Apocalypse.
Look at that piece of shit.
This manga would expand on information about the Honkai and Hershers and introduce important concepts such as imaginary space. Second Eruption also revealed that Honkai had a Gestalt, which is referred as the wheel of the Honkai in the game. The Durandal visual novel was released in the same year, introducing another major cosmological structure.
Hey, remember when a bunch of people even now think that Hoyo has only made like 2 fucking games? And they're about to make a third called ZZZ. Remember that? When in actuality, they've come out with so much shit. And we're just too fucking stupid to Google.
The Sea of Quanta. The visual novel told the story
That's called
of
The Abyss.
Bianca Tagina and Rita Rosweise as they traveled to a bubble world in the Sea of Quanta.
Excuse me.
Ado described the Sea of
This motherfucker is in this game too? Overseer of Shiksal.
Quanta as a chaotic space between dimensional manifolds that was parallel to the real world. The Sea of Quanta houses the so-called bubble worlds, unstable worlds that would inevitably dissolve and become data. The
Bubble Worlds, aka Herta's Little Bubbles. I'm kidding. And when ZZZ comes out, there's going to be even more. I mean, the crazy thing about ZZZ, I know that there's a lot of...
trying to get some fried chicken, know a good spot, bruh.
Cane's. It's not really fried chicken. Actually, Gus's is great fried chicken. For you, James. It's fantastic. Highly recommend. But with ZZZ, they're technically, ZZZ technically does, it's using the same names, but I don't think it's a strong connection. There's the Bellabog, the construction crew, right? Anyway.
The visual novel confirmed that the bubble worlds, just like the regular worlds, can house different versions of existing
Argenti?
people,
No, I'm
but
just kidding.
character variants work a bit differently here. While until that point we thought that character variants could exist only as parallel versions of the same people in different worlds,
Is this girl supposed to be like Fischl?
variants work a bit differently here. While until that
It's either that or this girl reminds me of a lot of the that one girl with the umbrella from the Annihilation Gang.
point, we thought that character variants could exist only as parallel versions of the same people in different worlds. In the Sea of Quanta, they can exist as reflections based on a blueprint of data. For example, in the visual novel we encounter Anna Charles Darwin, the daughter
Hold on, I have to look something up. Hold on. Hold on. Hmm. The background looks almost identical. I'm just saying.
of the Charles Darwin, whose counterpart in reality died as a child, but the Sea of Quanta used her data to
What is that? That was a visual novel I voiced in when I was first starting out.
create an alternate version of her in this bubble universe where she became an adult. These reflections of real people are called Star Whisperers.
What?
And finally, in 2018, Genshin released its first manga chapter.
Oh, what a good manga.
introduced the character of Venti, who looks strangely similar to a character from Honkai Impact 3 called Wendy. 1
Shut the fuck up, bro.
year later, GGZ would also introduce Wendy as a character and base her on Venti's Archon outfit
Bro. Wendy looks cool.
from the Genshin
I like her little
manga,
pinwheel.
further straightening the idea that all these games take place in a single cosmology. The manga also mentions the name Murata in association with the Pyro Archon, revealing that there's an entire group of red-haired people called the Children of Murata. Who else is a red-haired lady
Bro, please, for the Natlin Archon, just give me a muscular ass Himiko. Please. Please.
associated with fire that is called Murata? In 2019, Honkai Impact 3 finally introduces the concept of the Sea of Quanta in the game's story, expanding on the information from the Durandal visual novel. This period also saw the release of the second key manga. The manga was the first instance in the series where characters mentioned the imaginary tree visualization scheme.
Soul.
We see the introduction of Sui in the
Who the fuck is that? Sue? That motherfucker looks like Kayla's.
story, who uses a bubble word called the Seed of Sumeru
There's no fucking way.
to observe other nearby worlds and look for a way to defeat the Honkai.
My guy pulling a Doctor Strange and just be... Oh, is he Al-Hatham? Because that symbol looks like Al-Hatham.
2 refers to the civilizations in the other worlds as leaves.
That is the most Evangelion looking ass motherfucker. What's that guy's name that wants to that loves Shinji? What's his name? Kaudu? Bro, tell me that motherfucker does not look like Kaudu.
Throughout the series, you will notice that multiple characters have different interpretations of the concept of leaf/branch, depending on how they choose to look at
It's
it.
Irminsul.
Su states that the civilizations that fail to defeat the Honkai will eventually fall into the Sea of Quanta, existing only in bubble worlds.
Fontaine?
This is the case with the civilization on Mars, which we will explore in part 2 of Honkai Impact 3rd.
Oh shit!
In 2020, Chapter 17 of Honkai Impact 3rd marks the first mention of the imaginary tree inside the game. After studying the notes of the previous era, Arrow describes the imaginary tree and the Sea of Quanta as two forces in conflict with one another. He associates the Honkai with a mechanism of the tree that tests the civilizations on it. The civilizations that pass the test will be allowed to continue existing on the tree, and the ones that fail will sink into the sea. While Arrow's explanation is not exactly correct, he lays down the foundation for what would later become the most accepted understanding of the cosmology. Just like Sue, Arrow compares each branch to a form of civilized existence and calls each leaf a moment in time left by said civilization. During the same chapter, Arrow uses the second divine key to look at other worlds in the universe.
This motherfucker can see Dvalin?
In one of the worlds, we see fallen Rosemary and
That's fucking... Is that not... Is that not Acheron? It even has the snake imagery. But apparently it's fallen Rosemary?
an alternate version of Rita, part of the Captain Verse storyline. This confirmed that Captain Verse was indeed happening in the same cosmology as the main game. The second world would show
it's obviously
an image of
Dvalin.
Dvalin, the wind dragon from Teyvat. A few months later, Genshin was released in September. The game tells the story of two twins traveling through different worlds. Due to certain circumstances, they end up stranded on Teyvat, a mysterious world that hides many secrets.
If you really think about it, the twins are stuck in one giant samsara. If you really think about it.
While it was confirmed that Teyvat is part of the Honkai Universe, its exact placement in the cosmology is still unknown. 2020 would end with another important event, the release of the Alien Space
Otto is such a fuck, bro. The way he looks, I hate him.
manga. The manga told the story of the events happening after a post-Honkai Odyssey, an open-world game mode inside Honkai Impact 3rd that happens 8 years in the future.
What?
A Shixel squad formed by Adam, Carol Peppers, and Raiden May have to deal with the invasion of an alien civilization called the Sky People.
How creative. Out of everything you could have said, the Sky People. Sorry. Like, just out of everything, every name they could have spewed, the Sky People.
The game mode introduced the mechanic of jumping and aerial combat to the game, providing a very different experience from the main game. The Alien Space manga told the story of Weltiang and Void Archives after the invasion of the Sky People is dealt with. The manga also serves as a prequel for Honkai Star Rail, teasing Welt's journey through the universe and connecting Honkai Star Rail to Honkai Impact 3rd.
Oh shit!
2021 introduced the crossover between Honkai Impact 3rd and Genshin Impact. This event had Fischl from Genshin brought over as a permanent playable character in Honkai Impact 3rd.
Right, I remember that.
Kachin was also part of the event as a limited time unit. Because the story implications of the two games overlapping would be major, Hoyoverse opted for this event to be part of a series of events dubbed by fans as the Idolverse. The Idolverse events are lighthearted and comical in nature, without any cosmological implications.
It is crazy how different the art style is. Like, I know, like, the 3D model art style between Impact 3rd and Genshin.
For the most part. Just the characters doing silly, fun stuff. In this case, the story of the crossover happened in a parallel world where Welt and Arrow came up with different game ideas for a collab between Shixel and AE. Funnily enough, the event portrayed how the two teams had very different visions and couldn't collaborate with each other.
Oh, so Hoyo not wanting to share the secrets between Genshin and Honkai Star Rail? Huh? No, I'm just kidding.
Making me wonder if something
Who said
similar
that?
may have happened in real life. GGZ and Honkai Impact 3rd also collaborated in the past, with many characters from Honkai Impact 3rd being brought over to GGZ. The
I can't believe GGZ is still going on.
last time, Alicia and Pardo were added as playable characters. During the Honkai Impact 3rd Starfire Sonorat concert at the end of 2021, Hoyoverse revealed a new game in the Honkai series, officially announcing Honkai Star Rail and releasing an animated concept trailer called Reborn 2. The animated short is on the official Honkai Impact 3rd YouTube channel, and it's meant to be a look at a very early idea for Star Rail. It featured characters like Welt, Carol, and what people assume to be an early design for March 7th.
I never saw that trailer.
During the same concert, they also announced the release of the second part of a post-Honkai Odyssey. APH02 would continue the story left in part 1 and introduce a new team formed by Bronya Zajcik, Timido Cute, and Lyle Kolodi. The story of APH02 ended on a massive cliffhanger, and part 3 is expected to be released sometime in the future, dealing with the time gap between the game mode and the Alien Space manga.
Oh! So that story isn't even done.
The beginning of 2022 marked the end of Ado's journey in Honkai Impact 3rd. Ado's story arc features a character directly manipulating the basic rules that make up the cosmology and creating an entirely new world. During this arc, characters reaffirm Kevin's explanation of parallel worlds from GGZ by associating the universe with a game server.
Are we able to play these games? We're able to play Honkai Impact 3rd, not GGZ, because GGZ is apparently only available in Japan and China? Question mark?
Where different choices made by the characters can split reality into multiple worlds with different outcomes.
Bro, that's kind of what's happening right now. Chat, that's kind of what's happening right now in Honkai Star Rail. We're given choices, and depending on the choices we get different dialogue.
The concept of imaginary renormalization, a technique that allows to swap the properties of finite and infinity, was also introduced in this story arc.
Damn,
this
fuck up Otto.
was the key that allowed Otto to manipulate the wedge of the world and create a parallel world where Callan never died 500 years ago.
Oh.
2023 is arguably the busiest year in the history of the Honkai series. At the beginning of the year, Honkai Impact 3rd concluded the first part of the main
Yo, it's Kevin!
story, the moon's origin and finality. The
Finality. Chat.
concluded the first part of the main story,
Wait a minute.
the moon's
And that's right in May.
origin and finality.
Origin and finality. The sword origin.
The finale introduced the concept of ideas, embodiments of human narratives that can exist independently of humans. Ideas were a new species created through Project Stigma as an extension of humanity meant to coexist with the
What the fuck are you
Honkai.
talking about?
The concept of Time Crystal was also introduced as a consequence of Project Stigma altering the space. Time crystals are a principle where time can be perceived in a constant loop. This event gave birth to an entity called I Lambda who could dream about the future. While moving through the Sea of Quanta, Kiana saw a projection of Bronny, an alternate version of Bronya from the Captain-verse, reconfirming again the connection between the Captain-verse and the main story. But
So Bronny, hold on. So I have projection of Bronny, an alternate version of Bronya from the Captain-verse. So Bronny allegedly is Silverwolf. So that means that Silverwolf is from the Captain-verse.
confirming again the connection between the Captain-verse and the main story. But the biggest reveal by far was the fact that the Honkai phenomena on Earth turned out to be orchestrated by a higher dimensional entity called the Cocoon of Finality.
Shut the fuck up. The what?
The cocoon is a merged existence of multiple alien civilizations that propagate by assimilating other
you for
worlds
the
into
sub.
themselves through the samsara process. The finale of part 1 also cemented the player as a higher dimensional entity in the Honkai universe similar to the cocoon of finality. I will not go into details on this because it's a very complicated
Is a variant of Brony, and Brony is a variant of Bronya. Got it.
concept to explain, but I have a different
That is Ix the Nihility. Oh, brother.
video about it where I go into more detail. So if you want to see that, I'll link it in the description. All you need to know is that yes, we as players exist in the Honkai universe and even have the power to intervene in the stories of these games. Alongside part 1 of the main story, 2023 also marks the ending of the Captainverse storyline in version 7.0, which is not released yet as of posting this video. After 5 years, the Captainverse storyline
This was released 5 months ago, by the way.
finally came to a conclusion in version 6.9.
Nice.
And will feature an epilogue event in version 7.0. It's important to mention that there are still some unresolved plot points in the Captainverse, but the characters achieved their main goal. As of now, it's still unclear if we'll have new Captainverse events in the future, or if we'll ever see the characters again. I certainly hope so, since I got pretty attached to them. Soon after the end of Honkai Impact 3rd Part 1, GGZ also concluded the Reborn storyline, which started in 2017. The finale of Reborn confirmed the existence of a place called the Soul World,
What?
where the souls of the dead end up going. It also suggested that time is retroactive in nature, with
It is not confirmed to be Ix. Yeah, I figured it wasn't, but
the future defining the present and not the other way around. Terminus. And just
hey, yo, Joe,
the
what?
present and not the other way around. Terminus.
What the hell is Terminus?
And just like the cocoon of finality from Honkai Impact 3rd, the Honkai phenomena in GGZ was
What the fuck was that thing? What was that thing called? Hold on. What the fuck was your name?
Oh no!
Chat. Chat. Hold on. Hold on.
controlled by a higher dimension.
Shut the fuck up. Hold on. It's the same fucking eye, dude. Obviously, the eye is like a little yellow, but anyway, that was all. I was like, hold up a second.
Honkai Impact 3rd, the Honkai phenomena in GGZ was controlled by a higher dimensional entity created by the merging of multiple alien civilizations called
you,
the
Samza.
Wheel of the
Love all
Commander.
your work.
Lastly, 2023 saw the release of the 4th game in the Honkai series, Honkai Star Rail. Unlike the previous entries in the series that focused on a single
But are they voiced by the same actor? Shut the fuck up. I hate you.
world, Star Rail decided to expand and focused on traveling between multiple worlds. The game tells the story of the Astral Express crew,
Doctor Who, a Starboy Luga, thank you for the 3 months.
Wave, saved, wave, saved, wave, saved, wave, saved, wave.
a group of people that travel using a space train imbued with the powers of the Trailblazed Eon. The MC of the game is a bat-wielding maniac who has a mysterious power inside them called a Stellaron. Star Rail greatly expanded the cosmology of the Honkai universe and introduced the concept of Eons, higher dimensional beings that exist throughout the universe. Eons are limited by their paths, philosophical concepts born as congregations of imaginary energy. Mortals can also access these paths and get powers from them. Zendar 1 Kuwabara, the first
Kuwabara.
member of the Genius Society, introduced a brand new interpretation of the imaginary tree visualization scheme. While very similar to Otto, Zandar's interpretation chooses to look at the tree not only from the angle of time, but also from the angle of space. Xandar keeps the view that each branch is a form of civilized existence, with each leaf being a moment in time for said civilization, but he also looks at the leaves from the perspective of space, associating each leaf on the tree to a star system separated by imaginary energy from others. The imaginary energy made traversing worlds impossible until eons appeared and changed everyone's perspective.
Interesting.
To wrap things up, I want to give you a quick look at what each game is doing now and talk about the future. As the oldest sibling, GGZ is quickly approaching its 10th anniversary.
God
the
damn!
game ended the Reborn storyline at the beginning of this year and announced a new one called, very fittingly, Honkai Gakuen. The events of Honkai Gakuen happened several years in the future and introduced new characters and a new
Bringing it back.
Unfortunately, the game closed its global servers in 2021 due to poor translations and having a minuscule player base.
So basically we're fucked, chat.
Despite that, the game is still very active in China and Japan, having impressive numbers in terms of revenue for a 10-year-old game. Honkai Impact Third is in the middle of part 1.5, which consists of smaller storylines focusing on characters that didn't have enough development in part 1, such as Sele and Fu Hua. Part 2 is expected to start in February next year. During the Hoyoverse TGS
Again, this video came out 5 months ago.
Presentation from a few weeks ago, Da Wei revealed that part 2 will take place in the bubble worlds around Mars and feature a new cast of characters. Part 2 will also be accompanied by a massive improvement to the graphics, an enriched combat experience that adopts the jumping mechanic and the joint attacks from APHO, and many more. The update will bring the game closer in quality to its younger siblings. Genshin just celebrated its 3rd anniversary. Okay, celebrated.
Hey, yo, chill.
Might be a bit of a stretch here. The game is around the halfway mark of the Teyvat chapter, having released 5 out of the 7 nations of Teyvat. Star Rail, on the other hand, is still in its infancy and recently wrapped up the story on the Lofu. In my opinion, this is a great time to be a fan of the Honkai series and Hoyoverse games in general. Even the older games still receive plenty of love and incredible updates.
That's actually crazy.
So if you were ever thinking of jumping into the series, or maybe you already play one of the Honkai games and want to expand your knowledge of the series, this is the best time for you to try out the other games. Except for GGZ, of course, since it's not on global anymore.
Yep,
but hey, if you know Japanese or Chinese, you can still play it.
That was a really good video and answered not a lot. It, in fact, made me go, I have to watch like 20 other videos to understand what is going on or the answers I want. But we watched it and it made me really curious about other stuffs. Yeah, made more questions. So in traditional classic Hoyo fashion, it left me wanting more. That's what this video is. You know this is a true Hoyo fan when even the video makes me want more. Bastard. Anyway, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe and check us out on twitch.tv/SciVTuber.